going on, everybody? So I constantly am talking about grading companies. I'm going to continue because it has become such an integral part of the card collecting community. We need to monitor it, we need to know what's going on, and we need to hold the company's feet to the fire. So the last 2 or 3 submissions that I've done were to PSA. I have submitted to SGC, but the last 2 or 3 were PSA. And I'll be honest, of those last, I'd say 3 submissions, 2 of them I felt like the grades were harsh. And then the most recent one, which was, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 months ago, I thought were very fair grades. There were none that I was surprised that were better than I expected, but nothing was really worse than I expected. It was kind of right in line. And I don't know if that's because I've tampered down my expectations or if it's just because the grades were a little bit more in line with where they had been. Now, the last time I had submitted to SGC was a little over a year ago. It had been a minute. And I had submitted a few cards, and the grades I thought were okay, a little lower than I expected, but overall they were relatively fair grades. So they came out with their new $15 special, right? And the turnaround time is really fast, and everybody has been saying you have to use SGC. And then all the PSA people, are saying, no, you're crazy if you use SGC. The resale value sucks. Don't use SGC. So there are the 2 camps. There are so many SGC people, especially with vintage. There are so many PSA people, a lot of which are modern, but a lot of vintage as well. And then there are some of us in the middle. I mean, I feel like I'm like a swing state, when you're looking at the electoral college map and you're like, ooh, this one's definitely going to the Republicans. This one's definitely going to the Democrats. And then this one, we don't know. It's like a purple state, right? I feel like that. And so I decided, okay, it's been a while since I've used SGC. Let's use them again. So I sent in 13 cards. All of the cards are vintage. Several of the cards are pre-war vintage. And now I have the reveal. The grades came back. Now, as far as turnaround time, I mailed the cards on a Monday, and they told me the following, not that Friday, but the following Friday that my grades were in. So the turnaround time to actually get my grades was about 10 or 11 days. But then the cards showed up on Monday. It's tonight. So this is, when you're watching this will have been last night. This is currently Monday night. And so literally from the moment I dropped them off at the post office to the time they arrived at my door was exactly 2 weeks, including the mail time. So when I said it was 10 days or so from, 10 or 11 days from the time that I got my grades, that's 10 or 11 days from the day I dropped them off at the post office. So 14 days from the time they left my hands to the time they came back to my hands. Let's take a look at how I did. Again, a lot of pre-war stuff and some, vintage and Hall of Famers and some good stuff. I want you to know how you think I did. I think that whenever we're looking at grading, we need to continue to press these companies to get better and better and better. And SGC has stepped up recently. They've brought their prices down. Their turnaround time is fantastic. So let's take a look at my grades. They just came back in the mail while I was at work. They dropped them off with my daughter. She signed for them. Now I'm home. Now it's time to check them out. All right, it is tuxedo time. My SGC submission is back in my hands. So
I've got it in super speed as I cut the cards out of the protection. And again, it's been a little over a year since I've done an SGC submission, and I've been pretty much disappointed with my last submissions that I did with PSA. So my hopes are not super high, but at the same time, you just never know. So again, a lot of pre-war stuff, a lot of vintage Hall of Famer stuff. So the very first card I have here is an old tobacco card with John L. Sullivan, and it's a boxing fight card, and it gets a 3. Now, this is, I think, a very fair grade. There's a little bit of surface wear. Corners are obviously a little rounded. Does not have a crease. I think it's a really decent looking card. I put that one on eBay tonight, and it sold very quickly. I obviously wasn't asking enough. Next up, I have a Gaylord Perry rookie card, and this gets a 4. Now, the bottom left corner has a touch on it, but the centering's good. The color is fantastic. I really thought this card was going to get at least a 5. I was hopeful, maybe even better than that. Again, the color is fantastic. The centering is fantastic. So a little bummed on that one. So far I'm okay on 1, a little bummed on 1. Now this is a 1951 Topps Redback Monty Irvin rookie card, and he got a 4. Now I'm okay with that. There's a little fisheye by his left ear, but otherwise the color is great. The centering on the front is great, but the back isn't so good. Pretty good looking card, I think. Now this card is currently on my eBay. There's an eBay listing for it. My username is Greg Miller, if you're interested. But just reach out to me if you're interested in any of these cards that are for sale. This one is a 58 Koufax. Ooh, and that got a 5.5. That is better than I expected. I thought this card was probably a 5, maybe a 4.5, mostly because of the centering. Color's great. Corners have a little bit of a touch. So I'm very happy with this one. That is going in the PC. So the Gaylord Perry is a PC. The Koufax is a PC. The other two are either sold or for sale. Now this is a PC card too. A 51 Bowman Warren Spawn. You can see the wax on the back there. Really good eye appeal. So 3.5. I'm good with that. I was thinking this was probably a 3. Might get a 2.5 and got a 3.5. I'm not selling this one. This one's going straight into the collection. And the wax is pretty common. You got to remember these came in packs of 1 for 1 cent or 5 for 5 cents. So a lot of the cards have wax on them from the 51 Bowman set. Next up is a 51 Bowman Larry Doby. This card will be going for sale. I have one in my collection already. And a 3.5, so I like that. Centering's great. Color is amazing. There's a little bit of edging issues on the left. So this one's going up tonight on my eBay store. But again, if you're interested, reach out to me. Just shoot me an email. I'll put my email address here at the bottom of the screen. That's a really nice looking card. I love this card. One of my all-time favorite cards. I have a 4 already in my collection. So now I'm getting into some of the tobacco cards. These are 1910 Champion Sport cards. So that is a pretty darn good grade, a 4.5. Now, in fairness, the color is great. The centering is great. There is a touch on the corners. But a 4.5 from a card from 1910 is great. And here's another one. A little off center on the back. This one got a 3.5. So I'll take that as well. The centering there high to, top to bottom from this angle, now side to side, is a little off. So I think a 3.5 is fair. Again, no creases. All of these 1910 Hassan and Mecca tobacco cards are for sale on my eBay store as well. But again, reach out to me if you're interested. Here's a 4. So that's a good one. This one's also a Mecca. Really well centered, really good color. I thought that one I thought had a chance at higher than that, but I think a 4 is fair. So far, pretty fair grades. Couple, Koufax a little higher than I thought. Perry a little less than I thought. So here's another. There we go, a 3. So that one, the corners are a little worse on that one. So I think 3 is probably right about what I expected. But the color on these are fantastic. I bought a lot of these not that long ago, all from the same person. And I decided they were worth grading. And some of these grades they are. So really clean back on this one. And a 2.5. Now he's a pretty well-known guy, a track star. And a 2.5, a little OC side to side, but the color is great. And again, I didn't see any creases on any of the ones that I submitted. The ones that did, I did not submit. So here's another one, and this one gets an authentic. So you look there, it says minimum size not met, which is interesting. Some of these just came out. The quality control back then was basically non-existent. But they all came from the same person. And then last but not least, my pirate card. I love these pirate cards. They're like one of my favorite things. And this one I was expecting a 1, and they gave it a 1.5. You can see there's a little paper loss there on the top right above his hat. And it's a little OC. So getting a 1.5 is great. I was expecting a 1. I love these pirate cards. They're like one of my favorite things. So how do you think I did? What did you think of those grades? Again, if any of the ones that are for sale are interesting to you, reach out to me. But I'm very happy with SGC.